focus your energy to get through a downturn in sales volume or any problem in your market by recruiting through it. You can recruit through any single problem, grow and top grade, focus your time and energy on the highest dollar producing activity you can in the real estate industry. Hi, it's Brian Icenhower, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what real estate leaders should do when times get tough. Usually drops in sales volume. I mean, that can happen from a seasonality basis, every winter or an off season in your particular area when there's less sales. It can happen from the real estate market, rises in interest rates, you name it. Whatever causes sales volume to drop for, broker managers, real estate team leaders, all that, those of us that are in charge of the welfare of agents can really put a paradox in the mind of a real estate leader. And there's not a lot different here by way of thought process from the solo agent too, because where the typical real estate leader is going to be is they're going to be like, wow, all these agents are complaining, or they're talking about leaving and going to another team or another brokerage or even quitting the business. If they would just do what they know they're supposed to do. And that's the leader frustration, right? Is you care about them so much, and then you start to despise them when they don't do the work they know they're supposed to. Then they start to complain at that point in time. And as leaders, that can be very frustrating and very trying and wear down the psyche, because, agents are so worried about handling the business or servicing business, but they're never really willing to do those activities to go out and generate new business, right? That's where it's tough. But as leaders, that's where they need us, right? But that same problem actually exists within leaders, just as prevalent, right? And what I mean by that is real estate leaders have work to do as well, too. If let's say you run a real estate team or a brokerage, but let's say a team, it doesn't really matter which one, but let's say you run a team of 5 agents and sales volumes drops. And then what that leader naturally starts to do is getting mad at their agents for not selling more. And then the agents, what they do, they start, the leader's squeezing those agents tightly, saying, why don't you do the work? Why don't you do the work? I can't keep the lights open. And the agents are complaining too. We can't sell either. We're not getting enough business. So they start blaming the leader. And then what do? Grass is always greener occurs. And that's what you see when you see a drop in sales volume. You see migration. You see agents moving from brokerage to brokerage, into the business, out of the business, to other teams, to solo agent, to team, to brokerage, all of this moving around. And they're all lateral moves. They typically do no one any good. But what happens is people are, and they're not based on logic, they're based on emotion. Like most human decisions, it's emotion that drives the decision. Then we go back and try to justify that decision with some sort of logic, which is usually very faulty logic, right? So they'll make lateral moves going all over the place, and it's distracting, and they want to be distracted because they don't like the pain that they're sitting in, right? So they'll start to move around from place to place. And this happens happens every winter. That's recruiting season. It happens in downturns in sales volume. That's always going to happen. And I don't care who you are. If you try to fight that trend by saying, well, not my brokerage, not my team, we're just going to keep the same elite group of people and we're going to keep them happy and we're all going to produce at a high level. Sorry, gang, I hate to break it up to you. People that have been in this business for decade after decade realize that agents will migrate. They will flow. So, there's a few exceptions to that with individuals, but not with organizations. And usually the larger the organization, the more leverage, the more income that team leader or brokerage leader, manager earns, and the less time they have to spend because there's more income being brought in by the masses as opposed to 1 or 2 people. If you relied on 1 or 2 people or a small group of people to generate income, boy, you feel it when one of those leaves. That's where the concept too big to fail comes from. If one of your top 3 leaves, it can just cut your production and income by 1/3. And that's very, very dangerous, putting all that hope on a few people. And again, if one of them starts to struggle or not produce a lot, all of a sudden the stress comes. So you can be blindsided. It's a very risky business model when you rely on those high producers and small models. It works all the time until it doesn't. And, we coach many of the highest producing agents and teams and brokerages in North America. And we see this time and time again. Who weathers the storm better? A bigger ship does, the larger ship. So if you have a team of 10 agents, like I talked about earlier, or 5 agents, let's say, and your sales volume drops through a low sales volume period in time in your market, you can go back and look and say, wow, my sales volume dropped 30%, but had I grown my team from 5 agents to 10 agents over that same period of time, I actually wouldn't have had a sales volume drop. In fact, when the sales volume starts picking up again, I might actually increase and grow, because we're always trying to get more income and we're always trying to work less. So we're trying to get more personable time back while we get more income. As leaders, that's always the goal. And if not, it should be, because you're in a bad business model. So to do that, we're going to need to grow, and we're going to need to constantly stay on growth, rather than going through that up and down of losing agents, gaining agents, losing agents, gaining agents, and only getting agents when you lose one. What ends up happening is that starts to burn leaders out. And they start saying, employees are a waste of time, agents are a waste of time, I'm just going to circle the wagons. You see that. You see lots of agents quit on their dream of being a leader. They're great warriors. They're bad chiefs, though. They're giving up on being a leader. And they say they can. It's all because they don't adopt the same mindset that they want their agents to adopt. Which means you got to keep growing. You really got to try to recruit through the bad market, because agents are going to leave. So that's why you always have to be growing in real estate. And I know that the idea of recruiting is painful. It's hard. It's the highest dollar activity available to real estate leaders. So we always have to be growing, because they pay for it when they don't. Naturally, what they do is they want to hold their agents tight. They want to hug them. They want to squeeze them. They want to say, stay with me, stay with me. They want to, when sales volume drops, they want to help them get their sales volume up. So they dig right back into them to kind of keep the herd tight so they don't leave and go someplace else. But they end up squeezing too tight, so that agents start slipping through their fingers. Yes, we definitely want to train, and we want to put those systems in place to enable agents to succeed, right? We want to make sure that we hold them accountable, that we give them the tools they need, and we want to make sure that we're supplementing their income and maybe giving them some leads, or whatever it is your systems are and you have in place. But we have to rely on the agent to meet us halfway. We have to make sure that they have to come to us, because if we're completely trying to put their success on our own shoulders, we're going to get lost in the weeds, and it's going to start to frustrate us. We'll burn out as leaders, and we won't be able to lead the whole ship. We won't be able to lead everybody in our organization. That's not a healthy business model. They have to meet us halfway, and we have to be cool if they can't, because many don't in real estate. It's a very small percentage that succeeds. So if you're going to grow your business, you have to be okay with agents leaving. You have to be okay with them not working out. You have to be okay with them doing a grass is only greener scenario where they just go to another brokerage. You don't even know why, because they're taking all their problems with them. They're just moving around, and maybe it's a little bit higher split. Maybe it's not. Maybe they're going to get this lead. Maybe it's not. Maybe they're going to finally get the training that you've been trying to give them already, or, whatever it is. It's something ridiculous usually. It's usually a lateral move at best, and it just gives them something to do in the meantime. So it's like busy work. And that's why people leave. And guys, as leaders, you have to understand that's the nature of the independent contractor business that is real estate. If you get caught up in trying to retain all the time, and you just get caught up in trying to keep your agents and train your agents, it will burn you out as a leader. It's kind of like your agents. When they have a deal fall out, they don't just run around trying to figure out how to not let any deals fall out. They need to focus on getting more deals. If you lose a listing because you priced it wrong and they list with somebody else and it sells, you don't fret over your listing presentation, your pricing presentation, your reduction presentation. You make sure they're okay and spend a little bit of time on that. Then you go out and get 10 more listings. 10 more listings makes any lost listing go away. Well, the same is true as a leader. We have to keep growing. So you have to keep your mindset focused on growth at all times in business. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's very true more than ever in real estate, where we're not even a W-2 business. We're an independent contractor business. And when you have an independent contractor business, boy, there's a free-flowing ebb and flow of personnel between different brokerages like no other. So it's very important that you're also growing, because you're going to see in low sales volume markets that mass migration of agents moving around. You better make sure you're getting more than you're losing. Real estate leadership is a game of 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, okay? You can't be taking 3 steps forward and then 4 steps back without going forward. What'll happen is you'll get too burned out by that. You gotta be okay with losing a few so long as you're out there gaining. Because if you keep losing, you will burn out and you'll change your whole business model, all because you didn't grow. Just like agents get out of the business in real estate because they didn't do any activities to generate new business. It's the same exact thing for an agent. So don't tell yourself otherwise. Don't create a business model that is somehow going to alleviate the need to grow. Growing is not going to be just by increasing the production of your agent. That's retention. That won't move the needle much at all on your income, your profitability, your lifestyle. Trust me. What will is increasing the personnel, the size, always top grading, always trying to grow your agent count. That is the key, because agents are going to come and go. They will. Some may stick around, sure, but it's a small percentage. Some may succeed, sure, but it's a very small percentage. It's like 1 or 2 out of 10, depending how tight your organization is. So yes, work on your onboarding and training systems. That will help retaining, but stop there. Focus your energy to get through a downturn in sales volume or any problem in your market by recruiting through it. You can recruit through any single problem, grow and top grade, focus your time and energy on the highest dollar producing activity you can in the real estate industry. All right, leaders, I hope this helps. Thanks.